Keith Hewen, welcome to Belfast to the Cornmarket Motorbike Awards. Great to see you.
Great to see you. I see you've got up to date here. Look at you doing it on your phone. I tell you, it's a real modern broadcast technique now.
It is. Keith, you're at present still the BT Sports MotoGP commentator. You still enjoying it?
There ain't a better job, is there? I mean, it took me 14 years to get back behind the mic with MotoGP. When I came back in 2014, big deal for me. Very lucky to be given the job, to be given the opportunity again. And I've been enjoying it ever since. I mean, it is, now that I'm a bit more up to speed, it took me nearly 18 months actually to get back up to speed with it, because there's so much that's changed in that interim period. The only thing that hadn't, of course, was Jules, who kept me together in those early months.
You really will miss Jules, won't you? He was brilliant.
How could you miss him? What can I say about Jules? He's happy in his non-retirement. He insists he's not retiring, but he's happy. I spoke to him only yesterday, and we're doing a thing on Monday after this Belfast Bike Awards, and you know, I think travelling is hard over all those distances. And we've been 19 Grand Prix this year, 20 next year. I think he sort of saw the writing on the wall, and that was it.
Keith, MotoGP last season in particular, it must have been the best season ever.
Well, you keep saying that every year, don't we? I mean, 2014 when I came back was pretty good. 15, 16 was fantastic. 17 matched it. What's 18 going to do? All we need is Valentino Rossi to be back up winning again.
Yeah, 18. You are a big fan of Valentino, aren't you?
How can you not be? Look at the age. I think probably the reason is, I mean, I'm not a fanboy, as in, I don't think, well, I hope any praise that I give anybody in our sport is justified. It's not that I'm a fanboy, but being older as I am and having retired from motorcycle racing and remembering what it took to do it at my level with the people I was racing against, and to see a 38-year-old man with busted legs and competition from the much younger people, and the psychological warfare that goes on in the paddock as well, plus his business empire that he's running as well. I mean, that guy is a phenomenon, and I think that's probably comes through in my commentary. I mean, all riders are equal for me in commentary. I'm not a major fan of anybody particularly. Well, actually, one that will be controversial, Casey Stoner.
Yeah.
On pure riding terms, forget about personalities. I have never seen in my life, includes Freddie Spencer, Kenny Roberts, name whoever you like, I've never seen a man ride a motorcycle better than Casey Stoner. He is incredible.
It would be the icing on the cake if Casey Stoner would return. Like, well, he's just out testing, and already he's putting in some of the fastest laps.
Yeah, well, it won't ever happen. He's reached an age now, and he's been away for long enough. He's happy in his life, 2 children, made enough money. Casey's great going fishing and coming and playing now and again on some top kit, and still, as you say, putting the times in. I mean, it'll be interesting. He did those times in Sepang in private testing. We'll see how it matches with, as the track cleans up, with the serious testing that's going to go on during this course of the weekend.
And of course, we're at the Cornmarket Motorbike Awards. There's one man here in particular, Jonathan Rea.
This is the biggest, smallest country I've ever come to. Northern Ireland is a phenomenon. You look at dynasties.
It says a Yorkshire.
Dynasties, the Dunlops, the Rays. If you go back to the Rays, you've got the Lavertys, of course. The Irwins. They're in every class of motorcycling around the world. I mean, it's a fantastic place from that point of view, and the reception you all get here. I mean, I think most of us are jealous of it, to be honest. I mean, Northern Ireland is a phenomenon. I enjoy coming back here every time. One time, I was going to move my family to Belfast because I like the city.
Oh, Keith, I can't imagine you as a wee Belfast man.
You know, I could. I enjoyed it. Well, Keith, Williams is here, and he'd keep me in.
Keith, in all seriousness, Jonathan Rea is now been talked about in MotoGP, isn't it?
He has been for a long time. The MotoGP people.
Why is it not happening? Why is it not happening?
He stayed with Honda for too long, and I don't know the reason behind it, and I don't know the politics behind it, but he didn't seem to get what I thought, and I think many people thought he should have got. He was in Ten Carter. He was riding the wheels off a motorbike that couldn't win except in the hands of Jonathan Rea. And there seemed to be a carrot for MotoGP. It just didn't happen. What did he ride? He rode it once at Aragon, I think, and finished 7th in a one-off ride. You go back to Carl Fogarty. Carl Fogarty never really got a great showing on a Grand Prix bike. You know, it wasn't the right bike when he rode it. He didn't get much of a lead in on it, and that was my fear with Jonathan, is that someone gives him a half-assed, affair. And he's right to stay in World Superbike. He's enjoying it. Would he cut it in MotoGP? Of course he would. He has not just the talent on the motorcycle, but he has the brain for it, and that's the thing in MotoGP. That extra little bit that you need technically and maturity-wise. He's got it all. I mean, Jonathan is. We've only got to see this year. Spotty, Queen's Awards. He's here. He makes an effort for his fans. He makes an effort for his region. Even when he's flown in today to be here, he didn't have to do that anymore, but he does, and that's the type of man he is.
Keith, you have a long association with Ireland, and of course you're a famous Northwest 200 winner. That's a heck of a long time ago.
A heck of a long. It was all in black and white.
But you look so young, Keith. You look so young.
Yeah, well, I've got a young family again. I enjoy my life. I think that's very important. I don't live particularly healthy. I haven't seen the inside of a gym in 30 years, so it's kind of one of them situations where I'm genuinely.
And is your girls all aware how sort of, maybe not so high famous you are, but are they all aware of your motorcycling career?
Well, they are, because obviously people write about it on social media, and that's it's the quirk of social media. You'll have people that are writing about me with some fond memories, and you'll have some people that absolutely hate my commentary. They're all entitled to
And
their
what made
opinion.
you come to Northern Ireland to the Northwest 290? Was it 1978?
Billy bloody Nut, wasn't it, I think? I was in the Austrian Grand Prix, believe it or not, when the delegation from Northern Ireland banged on the caravan door and said, "Would you fancy doing the Northwest?" And I said, "Yeah, all right, no problem." I didn't have any fears of anything in those days. I never thought about tracks. I just went to it. And it was only when I was coming here, and of course it was in the times when things weren't so good.
Yeah.
I was talking about this on the way over here as we came through Belfast in the taxi earlier with Maria Costello. And one of my earliest memories was going through roadblocks in the centre of Belfast in a shopping trolley, hanging onto the spoiler of an Audi Square 4 or whatever it was, a four-wheel drive thing, being dragged through Belfast with all the police and soldiers about at the time. But I mean, they were desperate times.
Was it a shock racing on the Northwest 200 course?
Because it was so fast. I mean, there was nowhere where, a little anecdote, coming down off the back either straight, didn't matter which one then, because they didn't have chicanes in them when I was here. You'd be doing whatever you were doing flat out on TZ750MR, and the old style helmets just moved around, and it would. Some people would say it's a good thing. Would shut my mouth and get up under my nose. So for about the last 10 seconds of the straight, you had to hold your breath. You couldn't breathe because your helmet was flat against you and under your nose. So I had to cut holes in the front so I could get some air through at that kind of pace. I mean, when I think.
But that was a remarkable achievement, winning the race.
Well, I was.
Was that your first occasion or your second occasion?
It's the one and only time here. I've never been back. I mean, it's funny because everybody thought I was going to be this great roads rider, so they paid me to go to the TT the next year. Thank you very much.
And did you go?
I went.
Wow.
Hated it.
Right, different ball game altogether.
I have not a great memory, and 37 miles. I don't know 37 miles around my house where I live that I do every day of the week. The way that the likes of Hislop, Joey, Foggy, whoever it is, McCallan, they can remember that place so well. Dave Jeffries was particularly a friend of mine who they could just reel off every inch of the place. And I went round this place backwards, round that place backwards, learned every corner, learned every single hedge marker in cars, on motorcycles, all winter. One winter I was here. Got on a race bike when I got here. The 250 that I ran, the only time I've ever raced a 250 actually, or ran a 250, I won't say I raced it because it didn't feel like that, was here Isle of Man for the junior races it was then. It was so slow, it was the right bike for me, and I really enjoyed that. The 500 was a nightmare. I never went back. The Ulster, they took me to the Ulster around Dundrod, took me to take a look at that after I won the Northwest. And I politely said, "Thank you very much. I think I've done my time on the roads."
But you have a remarkable career. You've been a Suzuki rider and stuff. But you've also done fairly well in Grand Prix. You actually did you get a third in the 250 or 350? The British Grand Prix or somewhere? Or?
I was second at the British Grand Prix. Tony Mang won it, but by a long way. And I picked Jean-Francois Boldet. That was Mang's partner in crime, who I still see around the old Grand Prix races. They never die. They're still at Grand Prix. You just don't see as much of it. So Jean-Francois Boldet, I saw him the other week. And I pipped him for second place, and I finished sixth in the World Championship that year. I only did half the rounds, but I still.
And
finished
do you have
second.
any regrets? Did you know in your soul and your heart that you could be a championship contender in in Grand Prix.
The problem
if you had the bikes, of course, and the right
problem you have back in my day is we were all privateers. Everybody was a privateer. If you didn't have the money or the family to put the money in, then you weren't going to do anything. It was of its time. I don't have regrets because I did the best I could with what we got at the time.
When you think of your own Tom Hearn on a Transit fan, he came second in the 350 World Championship.
Tom was one of the first.
Did you know Tom Hearn?
I did know Tom Hearn.
Wow.
Tom Hearn was one of the first people to ever speak to me. I qualified out of the superstars. I qualified for the Transatlantic Trophy unexpectedly, knocked out, I don't know, some of the superstars, because in those days it was Potter, Marshall, Tom, obviously Sheeny, Parrish, all that lot. And I'd qualified and knocked out some of the superstars to qualify for the British team. And the first person to speak to me, in fact better than that, he gave me his ice cream, was Tom Hearn. And he got a busted up hand at the time. Anybody that knows Tom Hearn's career will remember he rode that transatlantic with a proper busted hand. And of course, on from that, Andrea Coleman has been a personal friend of mine for ever since.
You're involved. It's not called the Riders of Health anymore. It's called
Two Wheels for Life.
Yeah. You're still involved in that?
I'm not a director anymore, but obviously I still support it and it's a big MotoGP.
Have you ever been out in Africa and all them places?
I've been out to Africa, but not for Two Wheels for Life.
Keith, you're commentating. I would say you'd be an enthusiastic commentator. Would that be right?
You're being polite.
But you really seem to, when you're commentating, you seem to sort of put everything in the background. You sort of you become your own self.
Well, I think
you don't try to be a proper and speak proper. You just become Keith Hewen, which the fans love.
Some do, most do. Fortunately, there are those that don't, of course, and they prefer a slightly steadier commentary and a slightly different one. But what you have to remember is that when BT took over, there was a certain style of commentator they wanted. That's why they hired me. There were other good commentators available and were in work, but the situation was that they wanted to change the style of things, and my enthusiastic style, as you put it, was what they wanted. And with Julian as well, sometimes it might seem that I'm taking some of his airtime, but the fact is, what happens is that Jules is checking his stats, he's checking his facts. He's got them in his head, but he has time to check them so it's a partnership between he and I.
But in commentating, you need a contrast. You need someone like Jack Bernagle, say, and Jimmy Witham. You need that sort of different style, don't you? When there's two,
I think sometimes people forget how much Julian and I get on. Julian and I are good friends at the end of the day. Sometimes that doesn't seem so when we're arguing. Julian and I would argue if we had 5 minutes or 5 hours about anything you like, but we always end up agreeing at the end of it. It's a wonderful relationship, and I'm very pleased to have Jules and I go back such a long way.
But you've done an awful lot of commentating in Ireland, Northern Ireland. Like you've done even. Did you do the Billy Nuts series down in Kirkuson, the Champion of Champions?
I did do some work on that. That comes down to more like production companies, who's doing the production. Greenlight did quite a lot, and various others. Obviously, UTV did stuff in the olden days, and then it went on to BBC more.
But you had that same style and same energy in a 600 Super Sport race in Kirkuson than you have in MotoGP. I don't see any difference. You
bike racing is bike racing.
But you seem to make racing exciting more. You could make a boring racing look good, a boring race look good.
Yeah, but luckily most motorbike races are pretty damn good one way or another. I mean, it's just fun. It's highlighting the great stuff, isn't it? I mean, it's.
Well, as an ex-rider, do you see yourself sort of nearly racing with them guys, or?
Sometimes, sometimes. I mean, you can see where the opportunities are to make a pass or something like that, and you'd be thinking to yourself, "Now, would I have done that?" The problem you have in commentary is it's not about me. It's about what you're watching, and you've got to interpret what they're doing. It's quite interesting when you sit alongside an up-to-date rider, to put it politely to me. You sit beside someone, and there's a commentary I did with John Reynolds many years ago now, and I remember thinking, "Crikey, John's spotting stuff that he's there like a millisecond before I am." And that's the difference from a current rider to an ex-rider. And he was stamping the floor just that millisecond before me, and they see stuff. I mean, and when I work with, Michael Laverty is a good example. We did a little bit with Michael Laverty 18 months or so ago on BT Sport, and I remember thinking, Michael is seeing stuff here that I haven't yet spotted, and that's really important. You'll see a lot more of that on BT Sport in MotoGP. In 2018.
And when you left racing, you actually took up the four wheels for a wee while, and I think you were racing against a certain man called David Coulthard.
I was. I mean, Coulthard rode for the what was it called, the Tread Air Carpets Formula Ford, and I'd got SDC builders that were my sponsors for a long time, who I still see the bosses of SDC builders. Sadly, the guy that got me that ride at SDC, it's his funeral today. Alan Parker, good old boy, known as Stumpy. He got me the deal. But anyway, yeah, David Coulthard, Gilles de Ferran, he was the other guy that was in it, with a lot of very good riders in.
Do you think over the years there's been like a class distinction between Formula One and Grand Prix?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you think that's starting to ease away?
Yeah,
or?
see, as we start to become slightly more F1, it's kind of eased a little bit. Yeah, there are a lot of people that, I don't think they really, I think we looked like the oily amateurs for a long time. Fast and brave, but perhaps slightly oily amateurs. Right up until the 80s perhaps, the late 80s. But suddenly we got into the 90s and it started to change. It changes with people like Valentino. I know I go on about him again, but again, you see a sea change of professionalism. And now, I defy anybody, there is nothing that is unprofessional in our sport now in MotoGP.
Well, Keith, after travelling around to maybe 19 MotoGPs or whatever, I'm sure you don't feel like taking your wife on a long distance holiday to the Far East or anywhere, do you? What do you do in your spare time with your wife and kids?
That's funny you should say that, because we, as a family, in February all go to Thailand.
Wow.
So the whole lot of us are out there. It's the same time as the test. Don't know whether I'm going to get away for the test yet. But anyway, we're out there.
Excuse to go out there,
We're out there during the test. And then between Texas and Argentina, they all come out to New York, join me in New York. So yeah, we still do the long haul stuff.
And Keith, have you made a lot of friends in Ireland over the years?
Yeah. In fact, Gary Cowan I'll meet for lunch tomorrow.
Wow.
I always do. John Smith.
Wow.
John Smith from Ballymena, he's coming across as well. And these are old friends of mine from a long time. And I could go on like that. Well, Jeremy McWilliams is in Australia, so I'm not going to catch up with him in Gilly this weekend. But yeah, I mean, Brian Reed, it's always good to see Reedy. There's a lot of good guys out here.
Well, listen, Keith, it's brilliant you've come over, and we really appreciate that, because we are very fond of you, as you know. And so enjoy your night, and don't be drinking the Guinness too much.
No, Jack Daniels and Coke, always.
Okay, Keith, thank you.
Cheers.